Is it okay if I sit back?
Yeah, yep. As long as like it's somewhat even between the two of us, the microphone should be fine because I can adjust it afterwards. All right. Since Linda's not here, I might do like a little intro thing with Linda before and then have cut into the interview. So haven't quite decided because it's like if the interview runs really long, then we might not do that. So I'll just kind of introduce it and I can always edit it after. So, all right.
Are you okay with us here, by the way?
Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. It's nothing you don't know.
He's gonna have the hardest time like not interjecting.
I know. We should gag him before we start.
I'll shut up, I promise.
All right, welcome to Degrassi Back to Class podcast. I'm Katie and Linda is working today, so it is just myself here, and I'm so lucky to have Goodeve with me. Ms. Avery, say hello.
Hello, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, and we are recording in airport today.
Yes, I'd like to give a shout out to Brampton Flying Club and to Bill T., friend of mine who arranged this whole thing. He gave us the space.
Thank you so much. You know, before I even get into Degrassi, just because we're here at an airport, I just want to know, how did you get into flying and develop this great passion in hockey for you?
I didn't even know there was such a thing as private flying when I was a kid. And then I met this man when I was 16 years old. And on our second date, he took me to Buttonville Airport and took me flying. And I fell in love with him and the airplane and decided to keep both.
Aw, that's so sweet. That's also great because Linda, she said that she wanted to know how you met your partner.
So
it's so romantic. She was like, I want to know how they met.
Well, the true story there is a little mushy. Glenn Norman, my partner, was actually a Boy Scout in the same troop as one of my brothers, my middle brother. And he used to come and camp at our place. We had 50 acres in the country, and the Boy Scouts would camp out and behave badly. And he was friends with my brother, so basically that's how we met.
Aw, that's very sweet.
But, you know, he didn't remember me from those days. He remembered my dog.
Aw.
But he didn't remember me. He went out of my life and came back after trying to start an airline in British Virgin Islands. And when that fell through, he came home and met my brother who was getting his license at the time. And my brother said, why don't you drop by the house? My mom would love to see you, because he used to really get along well with my mother. And so he came to the house. And there I was, 16 years old, in a black fringe bikini with a cowboy hat on, and in walks this guy. And I was like, okay, that's the one for me.
Aw, that's so sweet. Can I say how long you've been together?
Since I was 16.
Wow.
I know, that's ancient, and I'm not going to tell you how ancient. Although people can do the math.
Yeah. Aw, that's very cute. How did you get involved in acting?
Well, I started out as a dancer, and since I was 3, I took ballet lessons, and that was my main focus at the beginning of my life. I didn't think about much else. That was all I wanted to do, and did it for a long time. Then I injured my back when I was doing a cross-Canada tour, and we got a chiropractor from the National Ballet to come and fix me up, but it was never quite the same again. So I went into teaching. Ballet just wasn't enough, so I started doing little theater. And getting the feedback from the audience was magic, so I was able to still dance. I did some singing and some acting. We did little skits, and getting the laughter back from the audience was amazing to me. It's addictive. And then I started into really training in my acting and going for it that way. So it was kind of a segue away from dance.
Yes.
And I've been addicted ever since.
How did you end up getting on Degrassi?
Well, that's an odd one. I got a call from my agent who happened to be on Degrassi Street. And apparently Dan Woods had the same agent. I didn't know that until Degrassi Palooza.
Oh,
Until we
wow.
had the same agent on Degrassi Street. So she gave me a call and she said, don't get too excited, but got an audition for this tiny show. And they would like you to read for a teacher. And there are lots of other people going in. It's just going to be a little afternoon show on CBC, so really don't get your hopes up. And it was kind of very low-key. And so I went down to the first audition, and it was, as a matter of fact, I think I saw Dan Woods there at the same time, because it was a wraparound porch on the front of the Playing with Time place. And they give you sides to read the script to make sure you can memorize and everything, do it very quickly and focus. And I remember going up and down on this porch trying to memorize my lines, and there was a guy obviously there, so I think that was Dan, trying to memorize his lines too.
Yeah.
And went into the audition. I think I did maybe 3 callbacks. So there was a lot of folks wanting the job. As a matter of fact, when I was on set one day, a lady came up to me very angry. And she said, I wanted your job, you know. I said, aw, sorry. So with 3 callbacks, and the last one was an unusual one. They were throwing different things at us. And the last one was write yourself a monologue as the teacher.
Yeah.
And that made me very happy, because I'm also a writer.
Yes.
So I wrote a monologue and went in, and I guess that's what did it.
Oh, wow. Did they use the monologue at all?
No, it was about current events, and I remember ranting on about the kids. Well, you have to care and to pay attention to the things that are happening around you. And at the end of the rant, I remember grinning at the camera, going, "Oh, I don't remember what the line was, but it was something like, oh, don't pay any attention. I'm here for you," or something like that. And the room was full of people up from Boston, WGBH, and Linda, and I don't remember if KITT was there. A whole pile of folks, anyway, for the last audition. But I didn't think I got it, because at the very end, Linda Schuyler said to me, "Do you have children?" And I said, "No." I wanted to say, "I'm sorry, I don't," because she was so hopeful.
Yeah.
And she went, "Oh." And I thought, oh, well, I've blown it because I don't have kids. That's a new one. and went home, and Glenn said, "How did it go?" I'm like, "I think the audition itself went well, but I don't think I got it. I don't think I'm what they're looking for." And I got a phone call the next day.
Oh, wow.
And I was just, remember hopping up and down on the phone with the agent. She's like, "Well, don't get too excited. It's only a little show, Sunday afternoons."
Yeah, but then it turned out to be what it is.
Yeah.
What it was.
Who
what it was.
would have expected that?
Exactly.
Not me.
Well, it's funny, you're talking about, not having children, and I asked just Degrassi fans out there, people who listen to our podcast, to, if they had any questions for you, to, send us the questions that they had. And more than any time before, I have had so many people respond with questions for you.
Wow.
And a listener that's living out in California, Nora Lee, she wanted to know, because she said, she's such a natural with kids. I wonder what her experience was prior to Degrassi. Did she work with children before?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, everywhere I live, there's always some kid in the neighborhood that seems to be attracted to me like a magnet. I don't know how it happens, and I just love them back, and so I end up mentoring. I don't know if that's the right word, but paying attention to kids. I love kids. I love their honesty and their humor. They'll say anything.
Yeah.
And you really learn from that. It's very humbling.
Yeah.
And funny at the same time. So there's always been a kid or two in the background that, that I'm looking over.
Yes.
We haven't had any of our own, but there's always been a pile
Yeah.
around the house.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I have a question from Kayla. She wanted to know, Who is your favorite Degrassi student character? Now, I know with Ms. Avery, she can't have favorites,
I was gonna say
but
that.
Michelle can, right?
Kayla, I don't know if I should answer this one. But I think because of the storylines, Stacy Mistician and I really started to hit it off together and work together since the rumor has it, whole thing. I think she was just a wonderful kid, and she had such talent that was so raw and so immediate that I loved working with her. And of course Amanda too, because we had the storyline with her baby and that whole thing. So Amanda and I did well together, I think, even off screen as well as on screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I have some questions actually also about the different episodes very specific to, those episodes. Someone asked, how did you feel when you read for the storyline where Ms. Avery was thought to be a lesbian? What was it like to tackle that topic and homophobia at the time?
Well, as soon as I read the script, I was very proud of the people who had written it, and proud of the producers for putting that into a script, because at the time, everything was so hush-hush. Nobody was talking about the things that were important, that really impacted kids' lives. And one of the reasons I was so all in, both feet jumping in and all my heart with that show, was because they were telling the truth. And part of me really wanted to be in that in a thick way. And that script allowed me to do that. And I was happy to do it. And I'm proud to say I was banned in Britain and flagged in the southern states because of that show. And I'm glad I was, because it needed to be out there.
Yeah, I know. It was totally amazing. It was great that it was kind of left open there where you didn't know at the end.
I think that was important.
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
I'm not sure if it was planned like that from the very beginning. Jan's a great writer, and I'm sure there was great discussion about it, but I wouldn't have had it any other way to end it.
Yes.
Except for saying, would it make any difference if I was Caitlin?
Yeah, exactly. Brett wants to know, how did you prepare yourself for the intense exchange with Spike in the hair salon, where she said that she wished she had never had Emma? That was a classic Avery moment.
I knew where the storyline was coming from. I knew the woman who wanted the storyline told, because a lot of the stories on Degrassi were from real life. And Avery is, hopefully, the intention was that she would be a safe place at Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High, a place where the kids could always go and talk to a teacher who would actually listen and care. And the kids were her first thought. That was, I hope to put all of the best of me into her.
Yes.
Leave the evil twin behind. So I put myself in the position of the woman that I knew who the storyline was based on, and tried to visualize how she would feel and what she would say. And hopefully that happened.
Yeah. Brunettes. I don't know. Do you remember, or do you? I don't know. I'm sure you met her at Degrassi Palooza, Katie. She does a Degrassi fashion blog.
Oh.
Which I'm sure you've been featured on it many times because you had great fashion.
I hope I met her.
Yeah. No, she was one of the Niners for the cosplay. Yeah.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah, so she has a question. She goes, I'm not sure this is a very good question, but how did you feel when you found out Ms. Avery had to yell at Caitlin and stressed out? She goes, for me, that was a very scary Ms. Avery moment.
Uh-oh. Yeah, her safe place kind of slipped there a bit.
I know. That's why I'm asking you now.
Yeah. Letting her personality come out, thinking about herself for a change. And I liked it. Because as an actor, you want to use a range of emotions. And Avery was, because she was a safe place, there was a certain sameness to the acting. So as an actor, I really enjoyed doing something different.
Yes.
And Stace and I would practice off screen just glaring at each other. Because
There's some great glaring in that episode.
because we were such buddies.
Yeah.
It was hard to
Yeah.
get right into it. So we did a good glaring contest and learned how to look at each other like, how dare you?
Mhm.
So it was fun for both of us to do something different.
Yeah, I found it was great because, teachers, they try to stay neutral and not bring too much of their personal life into what's going on when they're
Yes.
teaching. But to see, Ms. Avery kind of she can't help it. She can't help her emotions. She's having a real stressful moment there.
Kind of snuck out.
Yeah, exactly.
That stress.
Yeah. I do have some kind of silly questions for you here.
Okay, I'm up for silly.
So our friend Jason, he runs a Degrassi meme Instagram account called Kicked in the Broomhead. Just shout out to him.
Okay, hey Jason.
He wanted to know if there's any role that you would cut your hair for.
Well, sure, yeah. My partner's like, no. Yeah, if it was important to the role. I don't see why. I wouldn't. I just never had to, so I didn't. And
Yeah.
I am not the sort of person who wants to pay a lot of attention to herself, what she looks like. I mean, you have to do it as part of the job.
Yeah.
So when you're not working, it's just so easy just to leave it as it is and then wash it and put it in a braid and off you go.
Yeah,
Go
well, it looks
flying.
beautiful.
Aw, that's nice.
And
Thank
it's just
you.
part of you, Ms. Avery, right?
I have had people, even when I was 30 in Degrassi, stop me on the street and say, "You're too old to have long hair."
Oh, geez.
Which was bizarre. Where is the rule written? You
Yeah,
have to cut your hair
exactly.
when you hit a certain age. Very odd.
Yeah. And Jason also wanted to know about your cats and what their names are.
My cats. Well, at current time, my cat rescue has 6 animals. And now that you put me on the spot, I'm kind of like, I say their names every day and I'm like, I don't remember their names. Okay, yes I do. I have 2 black cats. One's called Killer. One's
Aww.
called Ragamuffin, short Rags. And then we have a little calico. And her name is, well, we had trouble with her name because she was really a troublemaker from the very beginning. I got her when I was trying to save 40 cats at a farm that were going to be shot. And so my partner and I spent the night in the barn and we rounded up all these live traps and we trapped animals, and it took us a couple of days. And we borrowed a van and drove them to the vets, and this one little kitten looked at me through the bars of her little cage and put her paw out. I thought, oh no, we thought we were going to escape without adopting more, but we took her in. She's just adorable.
Aww.
So we call her Legs, but we don't often call her Legs because she's a troublemaker. So, swearing alert coming up. Her real nickname is Little Shit. Sorry guys, but that's just true. And then I have 3 little orange ones, one long hair called Fuzzette,
Aww.
a stripy one called Sarge, and then one with a little orange mustache, and her name is Snidely Whiplash. Okay, enough about my cats. You get me going. People are going to say, oh my gosh, she's crazy.
No,
Crazy
I'm
cat
a
lady.
huge cat lover, so I've got 2 at home, and I would love to have more, but my partner is like, no way.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I love them, and we had no intention of starting a cat rescue. It was just when we moved to the country, there was a lot of animals who needed help, and no one else was doing it, and so I just suddenly started taking them in, and then find myself with a whole pile and finding homes for them.
Finding homes,
and-
that's so important and
yeah.
so nice.
And they're wonderful. They give back too, because
Yeah.
nothing like a good purr at the end of a bad day.
Yes, yeah. I follow all kinds of cats on Instagram.
You follow cats?
I follow people who have
Wow.
accounts for their cats,
Cat
and
stalker.
it's a big thing. No, it's a big thing. Like,
Wow.
there's a kitten rescue lady named Kitten X Lady, and
Wow.
she rescues kittens, and so
Oh.
her kittens usually end up going to new homes, and so their owners will make make Instagram accounts for those kittens so that you can follow their journey into their new
What a
home.
great idea.
Oh my goodness, I want you to do that.
Well, I have a book in progress of the different animals that have been through my life, if I ever get to finish it. So it's called Cattails, and it's a
Aw.
story of each one in a picture, you know, not of all of them, but lots of them.
Oh, wow, I would love to read that.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, keep on going with that.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess back now to Degrassi again.
We go airplanes,
Yeah.
cats, oh my
Exactly.
goodness.
Phil wants to know if there had been a school trip or excursion episode with Ms. Avery in charge, where have you wanted it to be? I think I know the answer to that, but I just, maybe it'll be totally different. Let's see here.
Well, my first response is myself would be to take them to an airport somewhere.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
But a response from Avery would probably be more educationally minded. I'm thinking the ROM or somewhere live where they could actually dig up and look at their own fossils
Oh,
and
cool.
discover about history and time.
Yes, awesome, that's great. What was the hardest part, if any, did you find working on Degrassi? And what was the most, well, actually, it's a two-parter question from Monty Bubbles. So, her name's Monty Bubbles.
Monty Bubbles, hi.
Did you find, oh yeah, what was the hardest part? And then what was the most kind of funny, most memorable part working with the kids? So,
I think the hardest part was not working.
yes, yeah.
I did have some trepidation when I very first started because I knew that the kids were getting together as an acting troupe at the beginning. I know they were having all sorts of classes. Judy Shiner was helping them to learn how to act for the camera. And so they had bonded already before I came on board. And so I remember my first day thinking, I wonder how it's going to work out. Will I be accepted or will I be on the outside, you know? And I turned up and it's like a gymnasium full of 52 kids. And they were amazing. They were so welcoming and friendly and heartfelt that I just was at home immediately.
Aww.
And they were just great kids. I still think of them as kids to this day, even though the kids have their own kids.
Yeah.
So the hardest part was not being there enough. I wanted to be there for them. And the funniest, is that what you want?
Funniest, most memorable part of working with the kids?
I have no idea what to say to the funniest.
Boat bash.
I suppose. Watching the kids play their characters and then watching them become themselves again. Remember my partner used to come to visit and see us walking around the resource center, which was the place where we hung out in between scenes, and memorizing your lines. So we would go to like a corner and speak to the wall as we were memorizing our lines. So that some of the funniest times we were watching these kids wander around talking to themselves, which was kind of
cool.
And then we used to yearly go on some sort of celebration at the end of the series, a wrap party. And for a while we were doing a tour on a boat because in Toronto we're right by the harbor. So we used to have boat bashes.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic. It was live music and kids dancing and under the stars, and it was just magical. It was wonderful. So it was great to see them be themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask about your clothing on the show. From my understanding, I've asked, everybody who's been on our podcast, I think I've asked the clothing question about how much of it was yours, how much did, Judy Shiner bring and say, okay, you need to wear this. Sounds like there's a lot of creativity in your own character that you could put into with clothing. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of left me on my own for that, to develop a look for Avery. I bought all of her costumes and accessories and all the stuff for her hair. And when I got the script, I would do a breakdown into days 1, 2, 3, depending on how many days the script went over, and then sort of design hair and makeup for each one that I knew could be a quick change if they were back to back and when they were shooting. So that's part of a job that an actor doesn't usually do. So it was one of the unique things about Degrassi. So I would go shopping for clothes, and my partner and I would be wandering through the store, talking to each other, going, oh, I don't know, do you think that would be right for her? And you could just sort of see the women that were working there, wandering around behind us going, are you buying for someone else? Or, and I'd be like,
that's hilarious.
well, it's a little bit schizoid, but no, I'm actually shopping for a character who is me, but not me, so I have to dress her in a certain way. And I set out to dress her so that there wasn't a lot of flesh showing, so it was hands and face mostly, long skirts and dresses, and mindful of kids. It was just to keep herself protected, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah, cool.
But most of what I got paid went back into
wow.
costumes.
It was a huge investment.
Yeah, and I still have all of those costumes at home. Yeah,
the pink jumpsuit? I love the pink jumpsuit.
Yes, it's actually a dress.
Oh, dress, sorry, it was a dress.
Avery didn't wear pants. Yes, I still have the pink one.
Wow, nice. Was there like a certain clothing store that you found most of Ms. Avery's clothing at, or was it just a
There were a
mixture?
couple of favorite shops,
Yeah.
and Le Chateau did very well.
Yeah.
And there was a small Eaton Center near where I used to live that I used to go into, and I'd wait for the end of season because the size 5s are always on sale.
Yeah.
So I'd whip right in there, and sometimes just managed to come out with an armful, which was great when they were on sale.
Yeah. Awesome. I have a question. You left at the end of Degrassi High in season 1.
Right.
And I know that there's more to the story than Ms. Avery goes to teach in a community up north.
Right.
Can you elaborate maybe?
A little bit.
A little bit on maybe more why Ms. Avery left.
Yes.
I wish she could have stayed to the end.
It was so nice during Degrassi Palooza because one of the hosts came up and he said, when you left the show, it was like a punch to the heart.
Yeah.
And that really touched me. I was very surprised at the end of Degrassi Junior High that they asked me back for Degrassi High, because I thought Avery was a junior high teacher and didn't even think about her making the leap to Degrassi High. So I went in to talk to Linda when she gave me a call, and WGBH in Boston wanted Avery to continue, which was nice. And we spoke and came to an agreement as to what would happen if I came back. So I didn't want Avery to be like the ghost of the cafeteria. I wanted her to be proactive, and they came up with scenarios and said, these are the things that we have planned for you. And I said, that sounds great to me. So I'll come back for another season and we'll see how it goes. But like halfway through Degrassi High, those storylines weren't being written. And so I went to Linda and said, it's not working out for poor Avery. She's still wandering around the halls and doesn't have her own classroom. So she said, well, I meant what I said when I said it. And I thought, I guess maybe it's time for Avery to retire and head off to Rainbow Valley.
Yeah.
And Jan Moore was very good. He wrote a fantastic script. I asked them just to make sure that Avery didn't fall off the page, that she had a nice goodbye for the kids and the viewers at home, because I didn't want her just to fade away. And it was a great last episode, and I still have the banner from Goodbye, Ms. Avery.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Somewhere in my house.
Do you still have the clock?
I do. It's in my kitchen.
Oh, nice. Awesome. I'm sure Ms. Avery would still have the clock, too.
Absolutely. She would prize that from her kids.
Yeah. Do you know, okay, so one of the things that has, I've questioned from the start of watching Degrassi when I was a teenager, there are certain scenes that have been cut from the show, like Arthur getting peanut butter on his bike. I just realized it recently. I was like, oh yeah, I've always questioned that. Do you know of any of the storylines that were cut from Degrassi?
what I do know is that there was always an A, B, and C storyline in the scripts, and it depended on the timeline for wherever they were going to be shown. So on PBS, you could actually get all of the storylines in because they had a longer time to show, but on CBC, they had to cut some to get it down to the right length because you only had 22 minutes for a half hour, and the rest was commercials. PBS could run longer. So some of those storylines got clipped, and a lot of it was Dan and I, because we were never the main storyline because the show was about the kids.
Yeah.
And teachers were supposed to be in the background. And actually, off the top, it was going to be a rule that they never see the teachers outside the school. And they changed that as we went along, and they started getting fan mail, and they wanted to see more of the teachers.
Oh,
which
that's
was
nice.
kind of great for us.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have a storyline that involved the teachers. I can remember one with Dan Woods running down the hallway with paper flying all over the place and his tie askew, and that was Dan putting a nice twist on, oh yeah, he forgot the test that he was supposed to bring in the classroom, and he erased it. I can remember him doing that, and I loved his little touches when he did that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Avery was more cool and calm, but Dan got to play the comedy, which was really fun for him and fun to watch.
Sure, because he's kind of a bit of the mean teacher, so it's good to see him like.
But he has a heart of gold.
Yeah. You only wanted the best for Mr. Jeremiah.
That's right. Keep that hat off.
Yeah. Let's see here. KITT Hood, I wanted to ask you, just because, I went to lots of the panels, at Degrassi Palooza with KITT Hood present, because I don't know when I'll ever be able to see KITT Hood again. I found him to be, his humor is really dry, and I really enjoyed being around him.
Yeah.
So I wondered if you had any stories about KITT that you could tell.
That I can tell.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think working with KITT was really fun because his greatest compliment after you finished a scene was he would look at you and he would say, "Adequate." And then you knew that you had really done a good job.
Yes. Yeah.
So he was good with the kids and never flattered anyone.
Yeah.
Good sense of humor, though, like you say.
Yeah.
So he could make us laugh, and we felt comfortable when he was directing. And he is a brilliant director, and he had a great creative mind. And I was so glad during Degrassi Palooza that he was featured because. Well, he should have been, and I'm glad he was. Him and Yamor and Catherine Ellis, it was nice to have everybody there getting their applause. Behind the scenes, they don't usually get that, so kudos to Pat Mastriani, Joey, for making that happen. I was really glad for all of them.
Yeah, for sure. Then probably, they weren't the ones that in the 80s or 90s, especially as in syndication, that people would recognize out on the street, right?
Yeah.
To be able to go up and give them a compliment.
That's true. So they didn't get their kudos, and I'm glad they finally got to do their standing ovation.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I want to ask about what did you do after Degrassi?
All sorts of stuff. I've stayed in the business. I've managed to write screenplays, been a story editor, a producer, creative producer. We do our own videos. So my partner and I became quite good at adapting books to the screen. And so we lived in New Zealand for 4 months doing White Fang. And I couldn't leave the country without really being able to act as well as write, because the producer wanted us to leave right away and go and shoot in New Zealand. And I said, well, I have my acting career. If I'm out of the loop for a whole year, it's going to be hard getting back in. He said, well, just write yourself in. And I was like, cool. Okay, I'll write myself in as a helicopter pilot because I wanted to see the Remarkables from the air. So that worked out really well.
Cool.
And I have one episode where I actually I love watching the credits up top of the show because my name appears 3 times. Isn't that awful? It's so egocentric, but
That's awesome, though.
story editor, writer, and actor is like, cool, the trifecta.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So, and we did Mysterious Island, Jules Verne's, and dropped that to the screen. We've done original work on Barnstormers, Disruptor Life Network, and something called Vulcan, which was about the elementary flying training plan in Canada and World War II, and it was one of Canada's finest historical moments, so we were really proud to get that one onto the screen and out there. So you notice I managed to get flying in there. Also Danger Bay, Glenn wrote me one because I displaced their show with Degrassi.
That's right,
So
I
we took
heard
their
that.
time slot,
Yeah.
and the producer knew me from meeting me with Glenn, and he said, well, write Michelle into the show. So he wrote me one about flying. Of course, I got to fly a great flight of Porter in that one, which is a lovely big airplane that lands on glaciers. So that was kind of fun too. That was great.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so we were really, our dream is to put flying and acting and everything all together and to work together.
Yeah.
Because it's really a 24/7 job in the entertainment business, and we wanted to be able to be together. So
Yeah, and
that's
flying is
what
your
we're-
passion. So.
Oh yeah, flying has been fantastic. I've had a little airplane of my own for most of my life, and it's a 1929 design, Pete and Paul Air Camper,
Wow.
which requires a lot of taking care of and rebuilding, and I have a lot of really good friends that helped me do that. Bill T is here today, so one of my mentors.
Yeah.
So flying and acting together are passions of mine that I'll never let go of.
For sure. Awesome. To get back to Degrassi.
Oh, yes, but
Like,
I digress.
We keep on going, exactly. We talk about everything and then we
Sorry.
go, oh my gosh, Degrassi. This is more about like the nostalgia, I guess.
Okay.
I remember going to the Degrassi convention in 1999.
Oh,
And that's after, I was watching it as a high schooler, and took the trip to Toronto, heard about it online. The internet was like just kind of getting started at that time. And also Jonovision was,
right.
a few months after that too. So I was at both events. And so to me,
Wow.
I'm just like, with Degrassi Palooza, it's all this nostalgia for that too.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to know
wow.
if you have any memories about those 2 events and if you could tell us anything about what you remember from it.
I didn't realize that you were at those events.
Oh yeah, I'm a hardcore Degrassi fan.
Wow. Well, good on you.
Yeah.
Thanks to you guys. That's why we're still here talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for the fans, we would have been, out of there real fast. Memories from, I always kind of kept my distance from fan conventions and such because we had, television is a very powerful medium for good and also for bad. So it can attract some negative problems as well as giving you the benefits of a career. And because I'd run into some trouble with a stalker, and I was shy to go to any kind of fan convention, not knowing what I was going to find there. Having a death threat really kind of puts a lid on that sort of openness, which is one of the reasons why I have to really thank Pat for Degrassi Palooza lately, because he turned that around, and I kind of feel like I got the show back. Don't have to put it back on the shelf anymore. Wow, 30 years later, people are still affected by it. The folks I met were so heartfelt. They shared their secrets with me and their problems that they said the show had helped solve.
Wow.
And it was an amazing experience, wondrous to think that all these years later, people are still so affected by the truth. And I'm so glad that I had that opportunity, because my partner had to drag me anywhere to do anything kind of promoting, that sort of thing. So I remember Jonovision was great fun. I remember walking right past Pat Mastriani in the makeup trailer. Didn't recognize him right away.
Oh, wow.
I just walked right by, which was crazy.
Because you hadn't had, like, when was the last time you would have?
Oh, yeah, way on set, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
we didn't hang out afterwards, Pat and I, so
Yeah.
it's nice to regroup now.
Mhm.
But I turned around and went, whoa, Joey, imagine that. So that was great. Yeah, and the convention, it was at a school.
It was at Centennial College.
The school.
Yeah, the
That's
school.
right, the school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was also a positive experience too. I find that Degrassi fans are really intelligent people. They want to protect the actors that meant so much to them, I think. And they're respectful and really so honest and heartfelt that it just humbles you, because it's just so almost overwhelming, that all the love that was coming out of that. I hate to sound all hippy-dippy, but I am. Yeah, so I felt a lot of, I was touched deeply by the whole last experience.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and it's crazy. It's been like 20 years since, it's been 30 years since the show, 20 years since the convention and Jonovision, and we're still talking about it.
It's
like,
amazing.
Yeah, it's had that much of an effect on people.
I always say, well, the truth never gets cold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Is there anything specifically that happened at Degrassi Palooza that, you know, a great memory that you might want to share?
There was a couple, actually. The one that springs to mind, first of all, is when I was doing an autograph session, and a fellow came up and put a little bag on the table next to the pictures I was signing. He said, "I brought you a gift." And I said, "Really? How sweet and thoughtful that, you know, you would do that." And he took out a Métis sash for me. And he's a member of the Métis Nation of Ontario Toronto chapter, and it was the Toronto colors. And I'd never had the Toronto colors. I have the Georgian Bay colors. And not many people recognize me as a Métis. So it was wonderful to have that side of my life coincide with the Degrassi side.
Wow.
And so I got up immediately and put the sash on and had a picture taken, and that was really special to me. I want to say thank you to him.
Aww.
And one of the other things was I have never signed a dog jacket before.
Oh, a dog jacket, yes.
Yes. Shout out to little Sheldon, cute dog.
Yes, I remember him, yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
So that was new. I mean, I've signed body parts and discs and books, but never a dog jacket, so that was the first.
That was so cute, yeah. I guess to conclude, we have someone who asked, is there anything, or is there something that you haven't done yet that you would love to try?
Hordes of things. Yeah. Show me an airplane I haven't flown and I want to fly it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
show me a script that I haven't, acted in, and I want to do that. So, and a book that I want to write, and I have two, in the background ready to go. And there are just more ideas and things that I would like to accomplish and learn before my time is up. So it's amazing to me that we're still talking 30 years later about a show I did all that time ago, and that it's so present. Because for me, it was something I did that I was proud of, but that I put behind me. But you guys, you great fans, catch up and give that back to me, so it is more present for me now too. So I just want to thank you and everybody who watched us, because you kept us going.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for this.
Yeah, and thank you for being open enough to be on here and share your story, and also to accommodate us here at the airport, which is really amazing.
Well, thank you for driving all over us out in Ontario to meet me here.
Yeah, yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks.
You're very sweet and
Yes.
kind. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you, and that concludes our episode with Michelle Goodeve.
Bye now.
Bye. Awesome. Before you turn off the camera, it's safe.
It's there.
Good to go.
It did happen once, I did an interview with someone, and we had to do it all over again.
I would hate to have to do that. Oh my God.
First time was so spontaneous, and the second time was like, okay, let's try to make this
Yeah,
spontaneous.
there's been times where I've recorded with Linda and we were doing the intro and we just somehow mess it up and then we have to start over again and it doesn't sound as good ever.
What's in the bag? You know what's in the bag? Yeah, let's see. What a pretty bag, too. Look at this. A present, too. Do. And all wrapped up.
Oh, no.
I'm saying, oh no, because I let all the, I have to get all the tape off and get.
Oh, really? You're one of those?
I'm one of
Like my
those.
grandma.
Like, save the paper,
Save
my
the
mom used to
paper,
say.
and we'll recognize it next year. We'll be like, yeah, we remember that from last year.
I do that too. I don't
Do
know
you?
why.
I don't know why either.
I know I'm going to scrap the paper, but
Yeah, I don't save the paper anymore, but I still do it. Glenn's always like, rip it. Ooh, pictures. Oh my goodness. Wow. Are you kidding me?
He shared online that was your song.
Oh my gosh.
And my partner has a huge collection of 45s. He has a huge, actually, record collection in general. But he was
That's
going through this
adorable.
45s because we were going to, put some up for sale at our yard sale, and he found that because I was talking about that song.
Oh my
and he was like,
God.
"Here you go," and I was like, "Oh, that'd be perfect."
Never my love.
I do
Yeah.
Oh, we got tears in the corner
Yeah,
there.
and also like we didn't have any airplanes, but we had hot air balloons.
Flying balloons,
so,
that's right, yeah. Montgolfier.
Yeah.
very sweet.
That's adorable.
You're welcome.
So thoughtful. You guys, I swear, thoughtful. Thank you so much.
But yeah, that's a thank you for doing this. This is,
Aw.
Very, very sweet.